Welcome to the Ambitious Coach Podcast. This is a place where driven, determined coaches learn how to get off the business growth struggle bus and learn how to build a wildly profitable online coaching business. I'm your host, Allison Henderson, corporate dropout to six-figure social media business coach. I'm going to show you how I've been able to create the business of my dreams organically, all through utilizing my social media platforms. So pull up a seat, take some notes, and get ready to see your life and bank account transform. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. This week, I interviewed the lovely Anna Rumbold. She is a business and marketing mentor, and she's also British. And I live in the US, so there's something just naturally calming when I hear a British accent. I hope you love it as much as I did. Her and I, our paths had crossed on social media, on Instagram. Her content really aligns with me and my coaching style. We have very similar views when it comes to how we sign clients and how we run our businesses. So after having a very nice chat on Instagram, I wanted to have her on and share with you all some of her insights on signing high-ticket clients on social media. In this episode, Anna shared her views on pricing, collaborations. What do you do when you feel like you're coming off too salesy or too much? What do you do on social media when it feels really hard? And so much more. So a little bit more on who Anna is. Anna Rumbold is a business and marketing mentor who specializes in helping coaches and service providers create 10K plus months in their business. She helps deepen their delivery, their messaging, and their leadership so that they can attract clients who are ideal for their offers and programs. Anna helps her clients go from experiencing rollercoaster income months to more predictable sales months. She helps you sign higher ticket offers so that you can start stacking income for months at a time. And because her clients are positioning themselves to the people who are most likely to win with them, these people typically go on to create great results, re-sign and send them quality referrals, and they build a reputation as someone who delivers for their clients. At this point, their businesses feel predictable, secure, and fulfilling because they're deeply serving their best clients inside their zone of genius, and they're selling from a place of complete integrity. So I hope you love this episode. And just a really quick reminder, I will not be releasing an episode next week. So the next episode will be released on April 5th. All right, everyone. Hope you enjoy this episode. I'll talk to you soon. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Ambitious Coach Podcast. I have a very special guest. I'm going to be interviewing Anna Rumbold. Hi, Anna. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi. Thank you so much for inviting me. Really excited to be here.
Yeah. So, Anna, I always like to start with my guests. Just tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got started on your coaching journey or in your coaching journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a business and marketing mentor. And I help coaches, service providers, consultants, mentors, all of these types of service-based business owners to create predictable 10K plus months in their businesses by actually deepening their delivery, their messaging, and their leadership to attract the kind of clients who are in the best position to win with them. Mm-hmm. And I have now been in business just coming up 4 years. So I actually started out as a freelance social media manager, but it was when the pandemic was happening and it was right at the start of that. So I found myself helping some small business owners, particularly those with bricks and mortar stores, to take everything online. A lot of people were in that stage of panic of, okay, we can't operate our businesses day to day now, so we need to take it online. So the passion that I have for mentoring was actually born during that period, but it wasn't until a year or so down the line that I actually pivoted to pretty much full-time mentoring. So that's my story in a nutshell.
Did you ever hire coaches in the past? How did you even know you wanted to become a social media manager?
Yeah, good question. Coaching hadn't really been a thing for me. What I did do was a business degree. So there was something in there that always wanted to start a business and be my own boss. I just never really pursued it or found the thing that I was going to be passionate enough to pursue. So I worked in marketing, and my last job was for a startup, and it was as a business operations manager and marketing manager. So it was almost like that natural step before, because I did have a lot to do with setting everything up, making a lot of decisions from the ground level, so really starting something from scratch. So for me, it was quite a nice, easy step rather than being in a huge corporate role where, everything was already very established, I did kind of get that experience of helping a startup to take off. So yeah, that's kind of like the transition really. So although I did do the social media, I managed the marketing at that role, I hadn't really been a social media manager solely before. So it was a bit of a step into something a little bit more specific.
Mm-hmm. And I would like to hear your story though, on like how you decided to just like quit that job, decide to become a social media manager and be like, okay, I'm just going to be a freelancer. What was that story like for you?
Yeah, actually, that's the part that I missed out. I was actually made redundant because of the pandemic. So it was right at the very beginning. And with it being a startup, it was a little bit, it didn't really have the cash behind it to really live out a pandemic. And so it actually closed its doors quite early on. So for me, it felt easier, I think, to make that step. I actually think it would have been harder had I been in a corporate role that was very secure and I had to actually make that decision to leave. I had that decision made for me, really. So, because as well, when I was made redundant, I initially started applying for jobs in employment, and all the recruiters were saying there's a hiring freeze now. Nobody was hiring. And I know that that changed a little bit further down the line, but, I didn't really have that time to just wait it out. So I decided to just jump straight into freelancing, knowing that a lot of businesses were really pushing the online side of their businesses anyway. So in a way, the timing weirdly worked out quite well for me, really.
So how did you get some of those first few clients for yourself? Like, okay, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to like maybe throw up a web page, I'm going to get started. So how did those first few clients come about for you?
Yeah, in the very early days, I just took the messy action and I said yes to every opportunity. I put myself out in different circles. I made people aware of what it was that I was doing. I wouldn't say I even had a huge network, but I did try and utilize the network that I did have. And that resulted in a couple of local clients at the time who were actually restaurants moving everything online. So they were really focusing on deliveries and takeaways and things. So the first couple of clients were local, and then I started to utilize Facebook groups and things like that. So it didn't take long actually to get fully booked with social media management clients, which again was another thing that prompted the mentoring, because a few people were then saying, how did you get fully booked as a social media manager within a few months? So that really kind of prompted some more thoughts into that mentoring, because people really wanted to know how I was doing that, because I was also using my own content. I was building my own Instagram page and it was doing really well. During the pandemic, I was getting really high reach, really loads of engagement, and people were starting to ask me about how I was doing that as well. So I was kind of taking the messy action in every single area.
I love that story. And I love just kind of, it's not necessarily like a rags to riches, but just being like, I got let go from my job and I had to figure it out. And I did. And I love that you're just like, I just took messy action and just figured it out as I went, and bam, it ended up being really successful, which now led you to something else that's more wildly successful, like what your actual calling was. So now you're fully booked out as a social media manager. People are like, hey, how are you doing this? I love the mentoring. So how did you take it from I'm going to now go full time into business coaching, and now you're making, over six figures, and it's how did that all transpire? And I know the time frame is actually relatively small, it's short. So I love hearing from I had this amazing thing happen to me, and then I took it to this next level. How did that happen?
Yeah, it's such an interesting question, actually, because whenever I reflect on it myself, at first I always think things have felt slow, but when I actually look back at it, it's really quick. And I don't always, you don't always see that journey, do you, from that outside perspective? But I actually would say that I have constantly been evolving. I think about the person I am today is different to the person I was last year, is different to the person I was in 2022. And I think I've been, when I think about it, obsessed with developing and learning all the time. I've never kind of, only one short period I was stagnant, where I kind of felt like, oh, I'm okay as I am now, and I'm just going to let things happen. And my everything dipped then. The inquiries dipped, my income dipped. And not to say that, we always have to be in this kind of rush and masculine energy of always doing, but I do think I thrive off learning and testing and, doing different things and evolving. So I think the natural evolutions have led me to branching out into different things. But what I realized, and again, from my passion in marketing before I even went into business, I loved the messaging side of things. I loved communicating. I loved putting together copy. So that was naturally coming through. So this was the kind of thing that people were asking me about. And that was where I started to take the mentoring. So initially the mentoring was social media, really. It was about helping people on Instagram specifically, but messaging was always a focus. And it's really interesting because a client was saying to me yesterday, she scrolled way back on my Instagram feed and she was like, the things you were saying then are actually the same kind of things that you're saying today. And although the focus has changed, it was social media only really at the beginning, and then it evolved into business and marketing as a whole. My values were still the same. I still believed the same things. So the messaging was always at the core of it. It's just how that was delivered and how I help people with that's evolved over time. So loads of different things kind of happened there. But yeah, I started off especially because I was doing really well with my business Instagram page. So it was really taking off. So a lot of people were naturally coming to me to ask for help in that. So that's where I help people. Then I really realized that what I actually loved teaching was the messaging part of it. So it just naturally evolved into more of a messaging program. And then, to be honest, the jump from just marketing to business was actually more to do with, again, like that natural evolution. I was helping people to grow their businesses. It wasn't just the marketing aspect anymore. There was also, I was helping them with their offer stacks. I was helping them with all sorts of things that actually made me realize, it took me a while to realize, actually, I've been business coaching for quite some time now. So yeah, all natural evolutions.
Yeah. And I know that you talk a lot about messaging. Okay. So that's obviously that's your jam. That's like where you like thrive there. So like if someone's right now, like really struggling with like, God, kind of just feels so hard. Like I hear this a lot being like, it does take me a long time, or like the captions just don't flow out of me. Like I want to be really good at content. I want to get all the clients on social media, but like, gosh, content just really seems to be like, just really hard for me. What would you say to her today? Because I know that, like, once again, messaging is your thing. Like, how did they get over that hump?
Yeah, it's a great question because I really do believe that messaging can be a struggle for a lot of people. It can be a real challenge. And to go back a few steps and to really look at it from this bigger picture angle, when we think about it, like when we think, okay, why is there a struggle in what we're communicating? I generally think it comes down to not being totally clear on what it is that we are communicating, which is why if somebody was struggling with it right now, I would apply a very logical approach. So, like, again, if you're not sure what it is that you need to communicate in order to show your ideal client why they should hire you, for example, then we're going to reverse engineer the reasons that your clients come to you. So we're going to look at how you facilitate the transformation that they desire, like really specifically reverse engineer that. We're going to analyze the reasons that your clients hire you, which I really believe they already exist. And I think that's something, again, we often go straight to the messaging and the content. Well, what do we need to say today? What do we need to say in order to get our clients to buy from us? Well, we need to show them why they already are buying from us. I really do believe that. But it's easier said than done because we are living in this every single day. So we are a product of our experiences, our skills, our qualifications, our past client results. So I think it takes a real introspection, but also often being asked these questions as well. Well, why do your clients hire you? What does that 10 years of experience that you have, how does that help them to get to where they want to be? What does that qualification that you had, those past client results, what was it that underpinned those client results? So that's where the messaging derives from. So I think a lot of the time it can be easy to go straight to, what do I need to say to make this sound good? So it's really stripping that back and saying, how do we show this person that they can create this result with us? So that's kind of, I know it's probably not very helpful for somebody who's sat there right now thinking, but how do I say it? But I would start by asking that question, really start thinking about how I can actually show my audience what I'm actually doing every day with my clients.
Mm. I just got off a call, so I'm going to tell you kind of how she was very much just like, I don't want to be posting too much though. Like, what if people think I'm too much, or they think I'm annoying, and they're very like, what do you say to somebody like that? Because I know that your clients are maybe a little bit more evolved in a sense, but like they might still have some of those fears of like, I don't want to come off as pushy, salesy, annoying, how do you respond to that with your clients?
Yeah, it's a great question, actually, because I have a couple of perspectives. So the first being, if you flip the sales focus to a delivery focus, I think that can make the world of difference. So rather than thinking, how can I sell today? If we flip that to how can I serve my audience today? How can I attract the kind of clients that I will then go on to deeply serve? I think when we have that delivery focus, which again relates back to what I was saying earlier for me, where rather than looking at the words that we're using, like how can I make this sound really compelling and how can I say this in a certain way, if we are just sharing what it is that we do, for me it just feels a little bit more natural. It's like an artist, we put up the beautiful picture and the picture says 1,000 words. If we can do that with what it is that we do, if we can communicate what it is that we do in that way, then I do think when we think of it as serving rather than selling, I think that can make the world of difference.
I always say too, like you're presenting them an opportunity. Like this is like an opportunity to change their whole life. Like that to me is so meaningful and so deep. And so it's like, yeah, stripping that layer off of like, you're not annoying anybody. You're just literally sharing how you can help somebody today. It's just so different. Like I said, I love the word serving too. That really resonates with me.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you as well. Opportunity, like you are doing this, and again, it's getting that clarity on where your clients actually get to once they've worked with you, because you'll have seen the amazing transformations that your clients have experienced, and you're just creating more opportunities for people to experience that. And that actually then takes me to my second perspective on this, because if you're speaking to the people who already want that transformation, they already know that that's where they want to be, selling turns into something that I feel quite natural, because you're just essentially saying, this is why you should come to me for that thing. This is how you're going to create that result with me, as opposed to feeling like you're convincing, because it's not a nice space to be in when you feel like you're having to convince with every single post, like this is why you need to hire a social media manager, or, this is why you need me. If you shift that content and speak to the person who already knows that they want or need what you offer, it really does feel a lot nicer and more natural to sell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm always like your content does a lot of the convincing in air quotes for you, because yeah, you're just sharing all their value, how amazing you are, but also it's like giving them some of that relief of like, I finally found my person that gets me, that understands what I'm going through. So I love how you said that. I personally know the person who's listening right now, a lot of them are really, really new to social media and like new to just writing content or creating some of the content. And I know they get really in their head of like, it has to be perfect. It has to look a certain way. And I mean, when you look at our pages, it's very simple. Like it's not fancy. There's no bells and whistles. There's not us like making all these like crazy edited videos for reels. And I think a lot of people when they first start think that like, oh God, it's going to be so hard to do all of these things. Like, so for a woman who's like just starting out here on social media, like who's like kind of in fear of the reels or just like the process of creating content, like how do you help some of your clients kind of shift that perspective of like, it's just kind of what you need to learn how to do. It's just something that is like another thing that like, you're just going to have to do it. It's a non-negotiable for your business.
Yeah. And again, I think it's really linking back to the fact that you are finding your people, you're attracting your people and letting them know that you're there with this offer that's going to help them to get to where they want to be. And in a way, there's actually something really nice about the fact that when you know exactly who it is that you do want to attract and the kind of person who is going to create results with you, if you start speaking directly to them, you kind of cut out the noise a little bit. And the noise is most of the problem a lot of the time, this constant, this is how you should be doing. This is what everybody else is doing, the comparison, all of those things. And I do think where you can cut out some of that's by habit as well. I've had to put notifications in my diary to tell me to only have like 15 minutes of scrolling a day, because I could be that person who just spends all day scrolling. So I do think some of these are building habits into your day to try and stop that noise. But I do think if you can stop that noise and you build that connection between you and that ideal client, so everything that you do, you're sharing it for that person. Everything you do is serving that person. And I think the stronger that connection is, the stronger you can visualize that person on the other end of the post, and the more specific you get to speaking to that person, I do think it becomes easier to drown out the noise a little bit, do everything your way. And, I do feel then once you start to engage with your people, as it were, you create this nice space. And then normally in that space, it feels a little bit easier to try the new things and do all of that. But I also think that actually on a different note, engaging with people in your industry, like you and I, and, I have, I've remained friends with people I've met from when I very first started. We still chat all the time. And I actually think that could be really nice as well, even though I've just said, connect with that specific ideal client. If you then think separately, you've got these other people in your industry who are kind of like your network, your supporters. I think having both of those groups can be quite powerful when it comes to building that confidence.
Absolutely. I am the same way. Inside of one of my courses, social selling, I talk about that. I'm like, you need friends. You need people that are going to shout you out, or, hey, she has this thing coming up, join her free class. Like, my network and the people that I've collaborated with over the last, 5-6 years of me doing this business have helped me so much grow my business. And I think it's so underrated. And yes, it is an extra effort to like get on calls that like we don't know. I guess I'm putting in air quotes. We don't know if it's going to pan out to be anything, but like I just know I have like always like 5 to 10 friends that I can be like, I have this thing coming up, like help me sell this, like help me, build this up, or like, and where am I missing? Like sometimes it's just like look at the sales page. Am I missing something here? Like, I just love having those sort of people that I can vibe with. And, I don't know. I'm somebody that very much values friendships, and because it's such a lonely road here in entrepreneurship. Like it's not something that like people go into, and like, from people that are coming from a 9-to-5 job and then going into being an entrepreneur, it's like, you don't talk to anybody. Like there's nobody. So if you can have some people you can text or DM and be like, what's up? How are you today? Like, what are you working on? Like, what's new? What do you like? What's a win like that you had this week? And like, I just love having those sort of people that are just on my side, and kind of the people that I can go, hey girl, help me out today. If I'm struggling, we've all been there, and we're all on the same road and journey together. So I love that you said that. I think it's just something that so many people don't want to do. Like, or they think that's just like such a waste of time. I'm like, it's really not. Like 5 years later, these relationships and friendships I've made are still paying off.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there.
So, okay. So let's talk a little bit about if this woman is, I said, a lot of people that are coming to want to have more, they want to sell more higher ticket offers. What does it really even mean to you?
Yeah, it's interesting actually, because I think, even high ticket can mean different things to different people in terms of actual value. But again, that actually really is what it is about, the value, communicating the value of that offer and how it's going to help somebody to get to where they want to be. And that can be, we can talk about high ticket offers in all sorts of industries. But what I do believe is that you can sell high ticket straight off the bat. I don't think you actually have to have low ticket, although a lot of models benefit from low ticket offers too. But I do believe that if you really focus on crafting that specific messaging that shows your ideal client how your offer is going to help them to get from where they are to where they want to be, and that place where they want to be is something that they wake up wishing that they had, it's the thing that is blocking them right now from really creating this thing that they desire, then it's absolutely possible to sell that high ticket thing. So I think part of selling high ticket is making sure that that your ideal client sees that thing as something that is valued to them as high ticket. So it's something that for them outweighs their doing that thing with you in that high ticket offer outweighs their kind of doubt around whether it's worth investing in. So I think it's important to understand, what it is that you're offering, whether that is in line with what your ideal client values when it comes to something high ticket.
I get asked this a lot. I feel like this comes up often with some of my newer clients, because I do work a lot with people that are just starting out. So like the pricing to them is sometimes really hard. Like, what do I price this at? And I'm like, well, what feels good to you? Like right now, like what can you confidently say? But like, there's some people that will be like, I want to do higher ticket. And like, I want to sell something for, 2,000 or 5,000. But they're like, I would never pay that. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, so I love your perspective of like somebody who's shifting their money mindset a bit of like, I was charging $200 for this and now I want to charge 2,000 or 20,000. Like, what if they're just like very much like, I don't know if I had ever paid that. So like, how can I sell that or confidently sell that if I'm not really behind the pricing?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think mindset work is really important there. And, it is going to feel quite hard to sell something if you're not energetically behind it. And I do really believe that actually when it comes to pricing, you've got to be energetically behind what it is that you're selling, because you probably will naturally hold back. You won't talk about just how transformative you won't own what it is that you bring to the table and how your ideal client is going to be in the best position to create that result with you. So I do think it's important to know, that you've got to be energetically behind it. Mm-hmm. But then I also think from a slightly different perspective to do with mindset is knowing that there are people out there who are happy and ready to pay high ticket for whatever it is that you are likely offering. So I think that's an important piece of the puzzle as well, because it can feel, especially if you're not making very many high ticket sales, when you do increase your rates or you introduce a new offer that's longer or something like that, I think it is really important to remember that those people do exist. They are out there. It is just a case of speaking really directly to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you guys, if you guys have been all in the coaching space for whether it's been weeks or years, like there are coaches out there that are charging $100,000 to work with them. Or even I got one time I inquired about a coach and it was like $365,000 for like a 3-month container. And I'm like, I'm sorry, how much was there an extra zero added here or 2 extra zeros added here? Like it was like crazy. I'm like, there are people that are charging high ticket offers and they're making money. People are buying them. They wouldn't be in business, right? If they weren't actually selling these things. But like, I guess I say like, sometimes people are just so trapped in their own mindset of like because like, I always say too, like, if you're the people that you hang out with, like are constantly saying, I wouldn't spend money on that, or that's so expensive. It's like, you have to think beyond this. Like your ideal clients can't afford it always. Like I'm always like, you're always marketing to people who can afford it. Money mindset to me is like a lot of especially if, like I said, you're a newer entrepreneur, like really understanding like, where's this money story coming from and how can we get past this quickly? Because yes, we want to get you confidently selling your offers and selling it every day and being really excited energetically to show up for it. So thank you for sharing your perspective on that. All right. So like, Anna, any last words of wisdom, anything else you want to share with the audience today?
Yeah, one thing that's coming up quite a bit actually, and it actually relates to that point, because I do think, pricing what you believe, but also if people have objections, if people are actually messaging you saying, wow, that's really expensive or anything like that, then it doesn't mean that you should question your prices. I've been in that position where people have said, I can't afford this, it's too expensive. And some of that is messaging. Some of that is you can transform that through your message. You can speak more directly to the person who is ready to buy, and you can communicate how transformative your offer is to show them that it is worth that high ticket price tag. However, I think you'll always find that people will still say, I can't afford that, but it isn't a reflection on you. And that's where I think it is important to detach your self-worth with your business and your offer. And it's quite difficult to do, but it's so important. And again, it's kind of, when we think about it, coaching is really a luxury. It is classed as a luxury. It's not one of our kind of basic needs. It is a luxury. And when you think about, I know that this is quite exaggerated, But, if somebody walked into Chanel and said, wow, that handbag is ridiculously priced, nobody's going to go and reduce that price and say, oh, some people have been walking in saying that it's cheap, that it's too expensive, sorry. Yeah. And, I know that's a bit of an exaggerated example, but we get to choose the segments in our market. We don't have to appeal to the masses. We don't have to be accessible to absolutely everyone. And I know that might sound a bit mean, but actually that's what everyone in business does. And we are running businesses. We get to choose, okay, this is the type of person that I want to work with. And actually, if we choose the type of people to work with who are probably going to be in the best position to create results with us, i.e. that person who already knows they want what we're offering, we're actually helping people to create better results. We're not just trying to take money from anybody who walks along and is maybe reading a message and thinking that the answer lies in simply investing. So I actually think we're doing both parties a favor, a service, I should say, in actually deciding that we are speaking to like a really specific segment and that we're not necessarily going to be for everyone. And it can feel hard because I do believe that when you make that decision and you start speaking really specifically to one target group of people, then naturally you might have some people that unfollow you or unsubscribe or, move along to, you might see that somebody who is engaging with you for ages signs up with a different coach. But it's, again, treating it like a business, coming back to the fact that that's okay. That person is better placed wherever they've gone to because that's their decision, and we are for our people. And that's hard, but it will help you long term if you know that you're for a particular person and you're okay with the fact that other people might not resonate anymore.
Yeah. Oh, one of my first coaches, she was like, are you the Gucci or are you the Walmart? Sort of like thing. She's like, oh, you're kind of in between and that's okay too. And it was like just kind of finding your people. And it was okay if you want to be one or the other. Like I said, there's a coach out there for everybody, right? And sometimes the price tag might be a little too expensive. And like, that's when you can go, okay, if I really want to work with this person, I'll find a way if I really want to, right? And yeah, like I love your analogies. I love how you position that. And so thank you so much. So yeah, anything else that you want to share with the audience as far as like your offers or how they can work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's been my pleasure to have this conversation. I could talk about this topic.
We can literally have like a full like 3-day retreat all on sales and marketing and messaging and content. Like this is our jam. We can talk forever about this stuff. And guys, she has a podcast too. Make sure you plug your podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you do want to listen to more content like this, my podcast Attract is a good place to visit, and also my Instagram page as well. I share content pretty much daily. So that's annarumbold.co on Instagram. And if you are interested in any of my one-to-one containers, then just shoot me a DM on there.
Awesome. Anything else that you have coming up for the audience of like, if you have any master classes, programs, or is it you're just doing one-on-one right now?
Yeah, just one-on-one right now, but I do offer mini offers, which kind of vary a little bit actually. And I have got one coming up fairly soon, but I haven't announced the details yet. But yeah, definitely keep an eye out for that because it's a more accessible way of, starting to sample the same sort of transformation that I offer my longer term one-to-one clients.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Anna. I really appreciate you being here today. I loved our conversation. Guys, please go check out our podcast. Just so many good little nuggets in there. And if you want to just spend hours with Anna, please go binge watch that or binge listen to that. And her content is so, so good. So please check out her Instagram page. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Talk soon. Thank you for listening to the Ambitious Coach podcast today. A couple favors before you go. If you found this episode helpful, please take a screenshot and share it on Instagram. Most importantly, don't forget to tag me at AllisonHenderson_coach. That's ALLISON Henderson_coach. And lastly, please take a minute to rate this episode and leave a raving review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you tune in to listen. Okay, ambition is great, but it's time to get to work. Take action and commit to being 1% better every day. Once again, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you again next week.